Hello and welcome to the SimTech podcast. I'm your host Craig, and today I'm really excited to be joined by Linzi from RealFX. For anyone working in clinical simulation, you'll know how important moulage is for bringing scenarios to life. And RealFX are specialists in creating incredibly realistic effects that help immerse learners and make training feel authentic. Linzi and I are going to dive into her journey with RealFX, explore how moulage can transform simulation, and hear about some of the fascinating projects she's been involved in. So whether you're a seasoned professional or just starting out, this is going to be a really interesting conversation. So let's get into it. Hello and welcome back to another episode of the SimTech podcast. Today we're going to jump into our supplier showcase, and today we're going to be talking to Linzi. Good morning, Linzi. How are you?
Good morning. Yeah, I'm really good, thank you.
Linzi, would you like to give yourself what I call a corporate introduction? Who you are, where you work, etc., etc.
So I'm Linzi Foxcroft, and I am the founder of RealFX Simulation.
Oh, it's very fancy. So what does RealFX do?
So RealFX is, we specialise in moulage for medical education. So I provide my services, skills, creating realistic injuries for medical training and skills courses and products.
How long have you been doing that for?
20 years.
20 years?
I know.
You don't look that old. How is that even possible?
I know.
Have you always done that then? Have you had any, can I say real jobs?
I've always done creative industry things. I did a degree in Hartlepool in design for film and television. So I wanted to work in movies.
At least that's relevant. It kind of links
is.
in rather than doing, I did a degree in philosophy.
No. So I always knew I wanted to do something creative, and I'd done face painting and things like that as a student. That was my job. I didn't really do a classic job. I did things like that. And then, so I've always done this since kind of leaving uni.
Is it what you wanted to do? Did you have a bit of direction?
I had no idea. I very much fell into this. Yeah. It was right place, right time kind of situation.
I think most people in sim feel that, especially techs. I mean, no one, as I keep saying this, no one leave school saying, actually, I want to be in simulation, I want to be a tech, I want to do this. Doctors and nurses, maybe they have a little bit more direction, but I think, it becomes almost like an opportunity comes across your door and you're like, I'll have a bit of that.
That's exactly how it happened for me. And I had no idea that this could be a career. But the makeup side of it, I'd always had a special interest in, but I had no idea that it could be applied to medical education. Yeah,
so like you say, how did that opportunity come across? Because you was doing all your makeup and your moulage, and then one day meet a doctor or a nurse or someone that brought you in?
Somebody in the military.
Military. So I spent a little bit of time in the army, and that's where I first actually came into contact with what was called moulage at the time.
Well, our paths might have crossed then.
Yeah. For me, I think my first time I came across it was when I met Amputees in Action. It was for what we call Battles course.
I was their makeup artist.
Yeah. Well, there we go. Maybe I don't know you personally, but maybe I knew you.
You'll have absolutely come across my work.
Yeah.
In your previous career. Yeah. So I started off. I actually face painted at a little girl's birthday party in York, and the theme was princesses and pirates. And so for the boys, I did some scars and wounds. And the father at the time of the said, do you do casualty simulation? And I was like, yeah.
I've got some red. Why not?
I've got some fake blood. I can give that a go. And he said, well, I'm the chief instructor of the Armed Medical Services Training Centre in York.
Yeah, MSTC.
MSTC. So would you like to come and do some voluntary work? This was back in 2004. So they were just doing PDT training. So they had the hospital complex set up in the hangar. But he was like, we don't really do moulage. It's not something, we have an attempt at it, but we don't really know what we're doing. It's something we'd like to explore. Can you come along and maybe share some expertise. And I went away and Googled gunshot wounds. And
Yeah, I think we've all been there.
yeah, I was like, oh gosh, how do I do this? And so I did. I volunteered for a couple of exercises, and then I guess in a way was then introduced to people that would then go ahead and say, we need this service. Can you come and provide simulation for hospecs? And can you also provide training courses to support that? So that's what I did. We'd do a training course the day before the hospecs exercise started, and those that did the training then supported CASCON, and we did the makeup for the exercise, and that was for the next 10 years. But as then there's Amputees in Action, and we grew massively. So initially, my role was we founded RealFX, which is what we were doing. It was all about service providing, so providing makeup services to pretty much the military initially.
Wow, what a journey already! Yeah,
It was all about reacting to things that were happening at the time. It was a reactive business that was, and it was a bit of a, can you come to West Down Camp to do a training exercise?
Shivering just thinking about that now.
And it was like, yeah, where's that? Okay, let's go, turn up, live on camp, provide, work with the team medics, work with the hospital. So it was everybody from reserves to regulars to, we did all the OPTAG training. So yeah, for that was where it all started for me. And it was an exceptional career at that time.
All from a children's face painting party.
Yeah. It was, yeah.
So what's a normal day look like for you then? If from now, because obviously, are you still working with the military that much?
No, that's kind of that, I guess that chapter's ended. So I think the career path that I've had has been very much about what's happening in kind of in the world and what the demands of the industry have been.
And because you're right, because 2003 was probably Iraq for the few years, and then it was obviously Afghanistan. Yeah. Afghanistan is kind of calmed down, and I think everyone's kind of waiting for the next one, which could be Ukraine, could be Israel, or however we go. But at the moment, it's quite peaceful in the military. Like I say, I've been out for 5 years now, so I'm not too sure on how it is, but it feels quiet for the military anyway.
Yeah,
right?
I think that's probably true to say. I think then, so I've started again. So that's when you ask about my day now, my day is, I'm kind of back to where I was 20 years ago. So we built RealFX up to be a very successful business. And so when the military work changed, because it was very much about providing a service, and we were often experiencing or understanding there was limitations in what we could do with live patients. So the request for mannequins was always something that we were supporting. So we were used to the patient simulators that the military would have, but they wanted something different. So we then started developing a range of our own mannequins, which then became Symbodies. So Symbodies mannequins were our creation. And then in 2020, we sold Symbodies and RealFX to Safeguard Medical. I contractually stayed with that business for 4 years. And then, almost a year ago, I left Safeguard Medical, Symbodies, RealFX.
And then what was born?
And then RealFX Simulation.
RealFX, wow, quite a journey.
Quite a journey.
Do you have a team at RealFX, or is it just you little lonesome?
Just me for now.
Just you for now?
Just me for now, yeah.
And are you busy?
Yeah, so I think as well, the journey of the last 5 years has been challenging, because I think I realised that my role that I had at Safeguard wasn't suiting me anymore. I missed the creative side of it. I was director of R&D, and I kind of felt that wasn't for me. So leaving something that meant a lot to me was really challenging. So I've just spent the year building up something new. I also had a little boy a couple of years ago.
Oh.
So now I'm mum.
Yeah.
Which throws in a whole new world
Jesus.
of like working mum.
Yeah,
so,
trying to find this balance there.
Yeah. So day in the life for me is school run, building up a new brand, a new business, but also focusing on the needs of the simulation industry and what I'm really good at and what I can share. Building something new.
Wow. I mean, blew me away. So what's it like starting again then?
I think it's been really challenging. I feel like it's been emotional, but also really
Therapeutic?
that's the word I was
Yeah.
looking for. Yeah, it has been really therapeutic. And it's been nice to kind of think about the a simulation world and what the needs are and how I can share my skills and knowledge and create a new brand and almost rebrand me, because that's what it was about as well, because I was so well recognised for what I used to do or what I was part of. And it's creating something new. And I feel really positive. It's been a journey. And I did have a lot of, I think I'll be honest and say confidence-wise, there was a point where my confidence, I was like, do I really want to go do this again? Do I want to start again? Like,
what would you do if you wasn't doing it?
I'd just be a mum. And I was like, and that's awful. I'm not saying that, just being a mum. And being a mum is everything to me. Like, but I have this inner passion for moulage. Like, I think about it all the time. And
it's not just a job. It's
not just a
part
job.
of who you are.
It is part of my DNA, 100%.
You've been doing it for 2 decades.
And I've seen the impact. Yeah. I've seen the impact with my own eyes and how it's really revolutionised and how it can be done very well. And when it's done really well, how it can impact training confidence and I wasn't ready to walk away from it completely.
Well, you're speaking to the right audience. I mean, if anybody you speak to, if you go to any kind of conference or workshop, the moulage workshop is always the first one to be filled.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter what kind of technician you are. I think it's everyone's favourite part of the job. Yeah. And even the doctors and the nurses, they all like to get their hands in on the moulage part of it, don't they? Why do you think it's so fun? I mean, it really pulls on people's creativity, doesn't it? And being able to see your work and see how people see it, because when they come into that room and they see, almost like your art, but what you've just created.
I feel like it's about storytelling. And storytelling is so key visually, but it brings all elements together. So it's bringing together the science of it. It's bringing together the creative. We are telling a story to the learners through something that is visually quite striking, and they're taking their clues from that.
What's your favourite technique or your favourite injury to make? I mean, everyone has a, can I say, specialist subject, like gunshot wounds or blast injuries or burns. Do you have a favourite, or do you have something that you feel like?
So I have a favourite medium. So so silicone is my go-to, and you can create so much with silicone. So I feel like major trauma is always the thing that is a crowd pleaser.
It gets everybody a little bit excited.
And it's it can really bring a lot to a moulage. But I always then the challenge of subtlety is what I find more specialised. So when you're looking at really specialist things like say, for instance, we're simulating, and I've always found paediatrics really key for me. Like, I feel like paediatric simulation is always been kind of and I think they're becoming a mum myself. Like, I think it's one of those key things we have to get right. And so looking at things like meningitis and meningitis rash, because we are using the techniques of bruising, but it's so distinctive that we have to make sure we get that right, and that it doesn't. Part of our job is to make sure that we're doing the moulage correctly, that we don't misguide as well.
Yeah, I mean, because, well, any clinician will tell you that there's a bajillion rashes in there.
Yeah.
And they all have their own characteristics. And even as things as like spacing and depth and colour and shade, all these kind of things, and tell you what the rash is. Although, maybe I'm guilty myself. I have one type of rash. It's red. It's blotchy. That could be anything from anaphylaxis to smallpox. I don't know what they are, but So where do you find your material to copy a picture? Do you just go on Google or something like that?
Google is a great resource. So obviously we do use Google. But I've been very fortunate throughout my career to work with clinicians that specialise in creating scenarios for the training exercises that I've supported. And they were always really keen to help me to understand the anatomy, physiology.
Do you have a clinical background or anything like that?
No. Creative. Yeah. So I would soak that up. I would so tell me more. What would happen if somebody was shot in the chest? How would that present from a physiological perspective? What am I simulating? What would their pallor be? What would be the injury? How much blood loss? So that would really help me to understand what signs and symptoms I'm simulating. So I think just experience now gives me an awful lot of kind of just knowledge and understanding of the human body, the anatomy. I've done cadaver labs.
I was going to say, do you get opportunities to go and see real patients, real casualties, those kind of things?
Yeah, so I've done cadaver labs. I have spent time kind of in a training. I think because I spend a lot of time in a training environment, I am witnessing the training event happening, whether at whatever level that might be, whether it is, a team medic level, first aid at work level, to something that is a major incident training exercise. So you are in it and you're hearing it and you're listening to it. So you learn an awful lot about just being part of that process as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of passive learning going on.
Yeah, huge amount.
You don't, like you say, sometimes you don't soak it up, but right there. But then, for instance, I was watching a game show and a question came up, and I just knew the answer because of you're in this environment and you just take it all in, don't you? And you don't even realise. I
know when my little boy got quite poorly recently, and he ended up needing. He's only 3, and he had his appendix out, and he was struggling with his throat. And the consultant said, "Oh, he's it's probably the tube that he had down his throat." I was like, "Oh, that'll be the ET tube," and he was like, "Normal parents don't know that. Like, you've got a medical background." I was like, "Well, I know about medical procedures, equipment. It's become more than just moulage, more than just doing makeup. It's become a real understanding of the industry as well."
Yeah, it's almost ingrained into your soul now. You couldn't get away with it if you wanted to, could you? No. I mean, one of the things I always struggle with is when doctors tell me to put a location. So they go, fifth intercostal space over mid-axilla, this. And I'm like, okay, Google, tell me where this spot is. And then you've got to try to find it on a person. And then the picture on the person doesn't look anything like what I'm doing on, the different shapes and stuff. I'm just like, oh my God. Yeah, there's all this kind of location stuff in there.
Oh, location's key, actually. Injury locations, because it can completely misguide somebody.
Yeah, sometimes they'll just say bruising over the liver. I'm like, okay. I know, I guess it's somewhere down here. And like I say, if you don't get it in the right spot, then it completely throws off the whole scenario.
Are you doing it at the right side of the body to the liver? Because if you don't know where the liver is and you do it on the opposite side,
then that's the spleen.
Yeah, so then you're taking the scenario in a completely wrong direction as to where it was supposed to be going. So that kind of thing is really important.
Yeah. Do you have any favourite products? Anything that you prefer to use rather than others?
yeah, I think I have my key. I have my key products that would go in my kit that I know are consistent. So simulated bloods, yeah, they're key to what we need to do. And I think they've got to. There's quite a few different roles in terms of, because we use silicon. Silicon can be a bit smoother, and if you don't have the right bloods, they can bead and run off.
What do you look for in your blood? Because my experience is you might. Medical blood, simulation blood can be quite expensive, can't it? Because it's got this medical tag attached to it.
Yeah.
And
or
because,
special effects tag.
Yeah, because it's expensive. You think, oh, it's going to be good stuff.
Yeah.
And then it comes and it's like a powder, and you got to mix it with water, and it becomes this purple water, and it's
stains
just like,
everything it touches.
Yeah. I mean, the one thing you'd think is that actually it's not going to stain anything because you're going to put this on a person.
No.
What is that about? I mean,
I wouldn't touch that.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be in my kit. No. So get really key. One of the things that from just kind of history has taught me, particularly working with the military, I couldn't ever risk uniform getting ruined by fake blood. Yeah. So it's one of those things that we went through and tried and tested so many different blood products out there that we could use that we knew weren't staining on skin, on clothing, but also had the right consistency, colour, were safe on skin, obviously one of the key things, and could go in the mouth as well.
Some of them dye skin really badly, don't they?
Oh yeah, well, yeah. So I picked the best of the bunch and made sure that it's fit for the purpose of moulage, and it has to tick all those boxes, otherwise it doesn't go in my kit.
It's actually quite thick as well, isn't it? You know, it's not just water.
No, it's got to have a viscosity to it, so it doesn't bead and run off the skin too easily, because then it's just wasted. Yeah. So we have different types of consistency depending on, and cost actually. So there are bloods that I will mix up that I still know wash off, but I can throw on the floor. That I'm not too worried about because it's not too costly. But then there are my high-end bloods that I know are very good, but I'm not going to waste them. I'm not wasteful with them because they are my...
You use them for photo opportunities or VIPs, TV, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And I think also as well, it's how I apply it. So there's lots of different ways to apply. So whether it's sponging, splattering, spraying, dripping, there is definitely different techniques depending on that mechanism, but also how it sits on the skin. So there's a kind of process to it.
Yeah, I mean, we're coming up to a very exciting day in your calendar, I suspect. So Halloween is on the horizon.
Halloween's every day for me. Yeah. It doesn't change, actually.
Does it not?
But Halloween kind of makes it commercial and makes it a fun, and it's okay. But I also feel like what I do is not for entertainment purposes necessarily, and it's not for Halloween. But Halloween just makes it suddenly become, you must do it for Halloween.
Yeah, so you never send your, let's just say you've got a 6-year-old and you're sending him to school fully moulage with amputated legs and facial burns.
Well, years ago I was working on a job and we'd stayed over the weekend because it was a military job. So me and a couple of my makeup artists went out. And it was Halloween, so we went into, I think it was into Norwich or something. And we'd kind of done cuts across our neck and chest like we'd been attacked by a vampire or something. Yeah. And I walked up to a bar and was refused entry because apparently my makeup was too realistic.
Wow, who would have known that you would get refused? I do notice that Facebook and stuff sometimes stops the imageries going on now, don't they?
Oh, yeah. Too much one of the things that I did with RealFX was make sure that we had really good presence on social media. And equally, it's become a bit of a challenge because it's very inconsistent with what it'll allow. Sometimes things that I think are not overly graphic will be taken down, and things that I'm like, they're not going to allow that, surely. And I'm like,
I mean, it's a really interesting point. I mean, how do you have anything to do with psychological safety? Do you consider that stuff when you're making up injuries and things like that?
Yeah, I think it's really important. And I think it's important to be very clear with what you're doing. This is simulation and for the purpose of it. And it's not here to shock or frighten or worry people. But one of my things and the way I want to educate is through that it's really important to be accurate and to be with the injury pattern and what we're simulating.
Yeah, Yeah,
and not to shock and awe and frighten.
I mean, a little bit of me, if someone comes in and they are shocked. I mean, one, I'm mixed with emotions here. One, I'm proud because, you know, I've done a good job.
Yeah.
You know, that little bit ticks the box. But again, it's not what you want from...
No.
But...
And it has happened in the past. We have had people that have really not, you know, have been quite shocked and upset from what they've experienced. But in a training environment, you can put a pause on it. You can say, look, okay, if this is really worrying you and this is actually you find this quite distressing, let's pause. Yeah. Let's take a breath. Let's start again. And that's often what's happened, you know, and it can, I think as well, the whole feeling and environment can become quite stressful.
I just wondered because I didn't know if you would have a lot to do with it, or if it's generally down to the instructors of the course that were dealing with psychological safety. I just don't know if it would. I never knew if it filtered as far as to the moulage.
It does. It is something. I think even because often we have role players that will, you know. Be our casualties. There in the military term, it's voluntold, isn't it, to be there? And we have to be careful that they are there and they understand what they're doing, and that they don't, you know, they. I think as well, it's welfare. So have they been fed? Have they got water? Have they got, you know, they're not being put in a situation that's unsafe for them, which is why mannequins were always really good, because particularly in quite a lot of the exercises, there was always a risk, particularly when we were working with the military. You've got vehicles, you've got equipment, you've got weapons, so we were always very conscious of safety of the role players and the people as a whole. So it was everybody's responsibility. And from a moulage perspective, we were always really keen to make sure there was never any risk to the role player or to those that were witnessing. But there was always... We were always very conscious of it. Yeah,
I mean, especially in the military, you know, you hear of PTSD, don't you? And the last thing you want to do is
100%.
You've made this scenario so immersive that, you know, they are now back into that scenario. You know, it's almost like a bit of a nightmare, isn't it? That kind of situation happening. But it's interesting because, like you say, most of the time the lead instructor would probably think about this stuff. I just didn't know if it ever came as far back. But it's really cool to know, actually. That it is on your radar, which is cool. Do you think realism always improves learning?
Done right, yes.
Because here, all right, so I obviously work in the simulation centre. I can spend 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes doing this beautiful injury, and they'll just come in and they'll put a bandage on.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm just like, come on, I didn't even get to zoom in on that. So there's a little bit of a balance there, isn't there, between how much time have you got to, you know, how much realism are you after? Are you always full on, this has got to be my best work? Or do you ever draw it back a little bit and go, you know what, this will do? Maybe we've got this across, you know, that this... They'll understand the idea of what we're trying to do, and basically, you know, maybe a full-on moulage thing's not here. Or do you just have the same quality line all the time?
I'd like to think the quality's there, but I think we do have limitations.
Well, I mean, you kind of alluded, aren't you, that you have your special blood for special situations.
And I feel like sometimes it's not all about the actual physical injury, it's about the training event or the scenario. So it might be about volume of casualties, and they might be like, look, it's about having 30% T1s, 20% T2s. And actually, the injuries we're simulating aren't the real... It's about managing multiple casualties. So, we're still creating casualties and injury patterns that would be coincide with what level of patient they are in terms of priority. But sometimes it's about actually creating that level of that volume of casualties in the time frame we're given. So we've got to quicken the pace a little bit. We're still wanting it to be realistic and durable and last for the time, you know, it needs to for the event. But we have to we do have to switch up our performance, or I don't know how to word it, but we're guided by that. But then sometimes there is real specifics where the training event is all about the specifics, and therefore we are then making sure that we're giving the exact details that we need to give. So it does vary on the event, I think.
Have you ever let something go out where the quality hasn't been quite up to scratch, where you've not really been completely satisfied, but there's probably other things. You've got time and issues.
I think as well, yeah. I mean, I'd hope not, but there has probably been in the past where maybe other factors have come into play, temperature, conditions.
People sweaty, people hairy, all these kind of
all
things.
These things. There's so many different factors that can come into play, and I am my own worst critic. Like I will look at something and go, "Oh, it's not as good as it could have been."
Well, one time it'll just go right, won't it? You'll be like, "That's beautiful," and then you do it straight after, and you'll be like, "What has happened here?"
Or they'll do like exactly what you said earlier, where we'll do a really amazing moulage, and then they'll cover it in cling film or dressing, and you're like, and then it'll come back to me at the end of the scenario. They've never even removed the dressing. So do you know what? I think there's so many factors that can affect, but in my head, I'm always making sure that what I'm doing, I'm happy with, and I believe the quality's there. Yeah. But the factors can always come into play.
I mean, one of the things that I really struggle with, I don't know if you'd be able to help me. So, for instance, if I was doing a ATLS course or something, and I do a gunshot wound. Now that patient will be used several times. Yeah, and it's how do you preserve the wound so it's there all day without falling off or without getting squashed, or this is real skill in it that you get through experience. So you're not just having to redo the wound every single time. It's making it so it's got a bit of longevity towards it.
It's picking the right process. So it's the right material, right process. Is it a human patient or is it a mannequin? So what am I using? So
it's funny that they're different. You'd think actually the process would be the same for human and mannequin.
It is similar, but I might have to do different things to either protect the mannequin, depending on what it's made from. So if it's a silicone-based mannequin or if it's
the new mannequins are a bit of a pain, aren't they?
It depends.
Some of them I just can't get anything to stick to them.
So it is the core material of that mannequin will play an impact on what I'm going to use. And if it's on human skins, then I know what to use. And so there's a couple of things you can do. So sometimes you want to create a barrier to protect the wound. So not necessarily so we use like a silicone oil, which is really good at creating almost like this barrier between the wound and the dressing. So once you've put your wound onto the surface and then you have then put blood on, you can then put a silicone oil over the surface. It doesn't change the way the injury looks, but it stops. What you want to do is you want to stop the dressing from sticking to the wound. And as blood dries, it can become stickier. Yeah, so it's really tacky. So there's things we can do to ensure that we can kind of get the longevity out of the injury.
Yeah, again, it's no one ever sat me down to teach me to do these, and I know there's people out there. But do you ever find yourself like on YouTube or anything learning from different people, or do you think are you as good as it gets, or are you?
Well, no, but I think I've got a lot to teach, so I would like to be the one that helps you and teaches you how to improve on your skills, because I feel like in there's a lot of particularly simulation technicians. There's a bit of I'm self-practice or self-learning. But if you can learn from somebody who has the experience that I have, then that's what I want to do. Like I want to be able to pass on my experience, my knowledge to you to improve what you're doing. If it just fast forwards you or catapults you into going, okay, I didn't realise I could do that. And that's made a massive difference to my gunshot wound creation or my blood, or introducing you to something that maybe you hadn't thought of or didn't know was an option.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned when we were talking offline about maybe a bit of a remote session. I mean, how do you see that working?
I would like to offer virtual moulage learning, because I feel like it's in-person moulage courses are great. And
but there's a lot of barriers there, isn't there, with it already? Yeah. You've got to get people from all over the country. I mean, you're northeast, is that safe to say? You're northeast based, so it's pretty difficult to get someone from London to come up, and you're probably difficult for you to go down to London. So doing it remotely, it's convenient, isn't it?
I think it's convenient, and it also the idea would be that they could access the tutorials remotely, and then I think the other challenge with running courses in person is that you're learning there and then, but then you go away from the course and may not actually use the skills you've learned for a couple of weeks and you're like, oh, I've forgotten what to do. But at least if it's there and available for you to go and rewatch the video or practice in downtime, then it's something that you've got available to you as a resource, and that's what I want to offer.
So would it be a live session, or do you think it would be a pre-recording? So are you going to...
A combination of both, I'm hoping.
So because they would have to have the materials as well, wouldn't they?
So currently we're creating an e-commerce shop which should be launched in the new year, where you can pre-buy the kits, and then there will be tutorials that you can follow based on the kits that you've purchased. So that's the idea.
Is anyone else doing it like that, or is it a bit of a novel idea?
Not from a moulage perspective.
I don't know if that tells us something. Nobody else is doing it. Why?
They're either not doing it because actually it's a stupid idea, or it's just because there isn't anybody that's kind of, I don't know. It's something I want to offer, but again, there is hurdles there. I'm confident at being able to teach in a classroom environment, but then doing that in a virtual sense is actually another challenge in itself to get that skill across. And it also needs a different type of resource as well. I need editing skills, and not necessarily me, but I need people there to support, edit,
you'll need
create
cameras,
the content,
getting the right angles and stuff as well. Yeah,
it's a big task to take on, but I'm hoping, and again, if there's anybody out there that wants to lend a hand, then. But I think what with modern technology the way it is, and accessibility through the internet and the training tools that are out there already to be able to create online learning, I do think it's possible, but it is, it is getting there.
Well, the thing is, there's always going to be trade-offs, isn't there? But for me, when I teach, so I do teach a little bit of faculty development moulage around here. So for nurses and doctors, when they come in and teach them, I always like to fiddle with their wounds and say, look, what about this? And just moving it to the right place. I mean, how would you do that digitally? How would you explain to them if you just did this or try this? It'd be really hard, wouldn't it?
It would be difficult.
It's really going to challenge your communication skills as well, isn't it?
I think communication is key. But I think as well, I kind of know in some ways I can kind of troubleshoot some of the things I know people would do that I've seen done, whether it's just a slightly a miss on a technique. But also even just creating a community where you can share your moulage work and ask for guidance and support. That's something that I'd be really happy to do as well, because you might have done something and then gone, oh, why did this do this? Or why did that material not do what I thought it was going to do? I think creating a community around would be really good as well. So you can share advice and support and sort of support each other as well.
Yeah, exactly. Because if you've had the problem, someone else has almost certainly had that problem and dealt with it, haven't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really cool idea, actually. And, I would almost certainly love to be helping you out on that, by the way.
Okay.
Just saying. Okay, so as I said, our time has almost flew over already. So we're 40 minutes in, and then we said we'd try to keep it nice and short. So we'll just talk about RealFX at the moment. What kind of stuff do they offer?
So we offer training courses. And we are going to be launching in-person courses for 2026. Obviously, as we've discussed, we are looking to potentially look at virtual courses as well in the future. Kits and products to complement all of those courses as well. So whatever you learn and utilise on the courses, they will be available to purchase. And then there's always the opportunity to do to support bespoke learning and bespoke product development as well. Yeah.
So I assume you come out to centres if people wanted to.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, travel.
How much do you cost?
A fortune.
Yeah. There's no money.
Yeah, everything's based on a quote, so it just
whatever works for them. More of a bespoke package.
It's always bespoke. It's always what budget they got, what is it that they need, and
So you come out and teach. So you also come out and do moulage for courses, that kind of stuff. All that kind of stuff. Yeah. And if people want to get in touch with you or find out more, how can they do that?
So we've got a website. So that's www.realfxsimulation.com. Email is enquiry@realfxsimulation. And we've got all our socials. So we have a lot of content on Instagram. So that's @RealFXSim. and TikTok if you're on TikTok.
Wow, yeah, you love your socials.
Yeah,
I mean,
I do.
in fairness, it makes sense, doesn't it?
It
'Cause
does.
moulage is very, it's very visual, isn't it? And that's what we were saying earlier on. People love to look at it. So why wouldn't it be on all those kind of platforms?
And it's very popular from a special effects point of view for entertainment purposes. So, but this is kind of helping people to understand actually how it can be used for medical education and training.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay, anything else you'd like to add before we sign off?
I think I'm good. Thanks for having me. It's been great.
Well, like I say, I hope we can invite you back at some point because, like you said, you're at the start of another journey.
Yes.
And we'd love to be a part of that. Hopefully, we can get you on to see your skills.
Yeah, that'd be really good, actually.
Yeah. I mean, we could almost, I'm going to pitch you an idea here. If people are listening and would love to maybe do a practice remote session and we could maybe test the pilot out if you haven't done it already, get some people who could follow along. But is that how you see your remote session going?
Yeah, I think that'd be a really good idea, actually.
Kind of a monkey see, monkey do.
Yeah.
And maybe we could record the session and we'll have a few laughs doing that.
Sounds good. I'll be up for that.
Linzi, well, thank you for coming and hopefully we'll see you again sometime.
Thank you very much.
And that brings us to the end of this episode of the SimTech podcast. A huge thank you to Linzi from RealFX for joining me and sharing her insights into the world of moulage and how it can really transform simulation. If you'd like to find out more about RealFX and the work they'll do, I'll leave some links in the episode description. As always, thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this conversation, please follow, rate and share the podcast so more people in the simulation community can join in. And if you'd like to be a guest or have an idea for future episodes, please reach out. I'd love to hear from you. Until next time, take care and keep simming.